Hello, everyone, and welcome back to your midweek ritual. That's right, it's the Game Hump. It's Wednesday night, and the Game Huggers are here to save the day again. That's right. And this week we got an exciting panel along with us. We've got Matty, I Love Kaepernick Pop. He's back again. Once again, he has returned. How you doing, Matt?
Good. How are you doing?
Pretty good. And we've got the Snail Man. Gary is back with us again. How you doing, Ryan?
Pretty good, thanks, Josh.
And new to the podcast, the first time ever. That's right, it's Nicholas De La Soda. How you doing, Nick?
Hola, Joshua. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. How do you feel? Are you excited?
I am excited. This is fun to be a part of. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Cool. I'm excited. We're excited to have you on. I was really stoked to hear that you were actually okay with subjecting yourself to what we do on these Wednesday nights, because they don't call it Game Hump for nothing.
That's true. That's true. But, you know, a big part of one of my hobbies is I do this all the time, so I enjoy it. I love it.
Humping?
Well, sure.
Because that's
all the time.
All the time.
One of my favorite hobbies, and I do it all the time. Not just Wednesday nights either.
Public, work, random people. Yeah.
That's right.
Shoes.
Shoes.
All right, so the Game Hump this week. We've got a plethora of topics to go over, but I want to get an idea just from you guys. What are some games that you guys are playing lately, like right now? What is the game you're playing right now, Matt?
All right. Well, right now I'm currently working my way through Tales of Zestiria.
Ooh, nice.
It's really good so far. I'm working through my way through that. I've also been playing Sony's MLB The Show 2016. And I actually just this weekend got done playing the Overwatch beta, which I really, really enjoyed, and I am stoked for that game to come out. So yeah, I gotta try to get through this Tales game first, but I got a couple weeks before that Overwatch drops. So pretty excited for that.
Sweet. So are you a fan of the Tales series then?
Yes, I love the Tales series. Yep.
That's awesome. I think my favorite in that whole series was Tales of Symphonia on the GameCube.
Nice.
That was classic.
That's classic. That's a great game.
Mm-hmm. Nicholas, what are you up to these days?
So I just finished my first playthrough of Dark Souls 3 not too long ago. Great game, phenomenal game. And then I have picked up and installed, but haven't started playing yet, Uncharted 4. Very much looking forward to getting played out this week. Yeah. Yep. So very, very excited to see that one finish out.
Nice. That just came out, what, today? Or yesterday?
Yesterday.
I think it was yesterday. Yep.
Nice. Mr. Ryan Buckley, what are you playing these days?
I'm playing Bloodborne currently, which is fantastic. I actually prefer it to the Dark Souls games because I feel it's more fluid and the collision mechanics aren't nearly as clunky. And I actually just recently finished 2 games. I finished Heavy Rain for the first time, which is the classic, but that was a fantastic storyline and everything. And a game called Firewatch, which was a very quick playthrough, but it had a really fun story as well, and it didn't lose pace at all from beginning to end. You never felt like you were working on a chore.
Nice. Very cool. Firewatch. Is that a PC game?
PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. They released it on Steam, I believe, as well.
Nice.
But you play a fire watchman, and the only person that you have contact with is a woman on a radio who is your dispatcher. And
that's
so
kind of cool.
Yeah, it's really neat.
Oh yeah, I've heard of this game. The game sounds really, really fun. Really cool.
Yeah.
I really like the concept of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really neat, and you're trying to solve a mystery at the same time, and it's a really quick playthrough. It's only a couple of hours, but worth it. It was only like $15.
Nice. Any of you guys remember a game for the PS2 and I think Xbox called Indigo Prophecy?
Yes.
Yes.
That's a really fun one. Not to say that's at all similar to what you were describing, but it popped in my head, so I was like, God, that was a really fun game. I remember.
Yeah. I remember when Heavy Rain was announced. That was my first thought because I remember Indigo Prophecy was a great game. The ending was a little weird, but the game overall was fantastic. But yeah, it made me think a lot of that game too.
So what I'm currently playing, I played a lot of Read-Only Memories, and I know I've been talking about that on a few of these weekly podcasts, but it is a fantastic game. It's an old point-and-click cyberpunk adventure game, and I just recently started it on the Ouya, so that's a lot of fun, playing with a controller versus playing it on a keyboard and mouse like on the PC, or Linux is how I'm playing it. But I wanted to talk to Matt, that son of a bitch, real quick, because I picked up RBI Baseball 2016 on the Xbox One, and I'm telling you right now, it's the only baseball game you need to play. So put away MLB The Show and come and pick this up. It's a lot of fun. It plays like the old school NES game, but it's got updated graphics. It honestly, multiplayer on this reminds me a lot of like playing like more arcadey style games. I mean, you can win baseball games like 15-0. I mean, it's a lot of fun. You can also get blown away 15-0 really easy. But the innings are quick. I can get through a game in like 10-15 minutes. It's a lot of fun. This is a cool pick up and play type baseball game with a lot of features with like season mode and free agency and all kinds of stuff. So highly recommended.
Is this like Blitz made a baseball game?
Yeah,
I think
probably
that's pretty much what it is. Yeah.
Nice.
But it isn't crazy. It doesn't like you don't have giant bats and you can't like elbow drop people on first base or anything. It's pretty much identical to the NES ones. It's very similar to those types of games.
Nice.
And I love that stuff. So highly recommended. It's a lot of fun playing with the kids, playing through a season of that, and it's really cool.
Is it more realistic than baseball and Wii Sports?
It's probably on par with baseball and Wii Sports.
Awesome.
It's actually really awesome too. I love baseball. I love Wii Sports. It's just a perfect.
Yep.
So, okay, how about jumping right into one of our very heated topics, and that's comic book movies and comic book video games. Like, how does that transition? Like, from a great comic book movie, does it come out in a video game, and are the games just as good as the movies? And what are some comic book movies that you guys have seen recently that are really good?
Wow, that's a tough question. I don't know that there have been any really good comic book games. I mean, obviously the NES Batman was a classic.
Yes.
But I think it's really difficult to pick out any actual, good. That's not true. The Batman Arkham games are pretty good.
The Batman Arkham series.
Yes.
The third one doesn't count because it was a disaster.
Right.
That was like buggy right when it was released, wasn't it? Or
Yeah,
something?
it was. It was totally broken. They even they pulled it off of Steam. It was so broken for a while, and then they re-put it up, and
jeez.
they didn't actually fix anything. So it's still just as broken.
Oh my God, that's awful.
Yeah. So
there was 3 games in the Arkham series. I knew there was a Deadpool game that came out a couple years ago, or last year, or sometime.
yeah, I heard based on reviews, the game was pretty okay. It was pretty average. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good. I heard the humor was fantastic. It definitely felt like a Deadpool type game. A lot of fourth wall breaking, things like that. But beyond that, it was pretty average, I guess.
So Ryan, what would you say is a good comic book movie video game?
Comic book movie video game. I would say the Batman series are the best, and but for old school ones, do you guys ever play Spider-Man X-Men for the Super Nintendo?
Oh yeah.
I didn't start swearing until I played that game. That was so unbelievably hard, but I mean, it was fun. It was like you could play as all the different characters, and I enjoyed it. I also kind of enjoyed some of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade-style X-Men games, like the old ones.
Oh, absolutely. Turtles
I loved them.
Turtles 2 and Turtle 4, Turtles in Time are probably my 2 favorite arcade beat-em-ups of all time.
Yeah, I agree
Turtles in
with that.
Time was phenomenal.
Dude, Turtles in Time was awesome.
I beat that game really fast when I had the chicken pox. I stayed home and got Turtles in Time and just played the living crap out of it.
Nice.
What video games did you beat when you had the chicken pox? That's actually a good question. 'Cause I played through Dungeon Master on Super Nintendo when I had the chicken pox.
Nice.
I was like dead and just awful everywhere on my body. Matt, what about you?
I actually, I mean, obviously the Batman series. I guess I'm kind of alone, but I liked Arkham Knight. But I'm not a PC guy, so I had it for the PS4. And didn't have too many buggy problems on that. So I actually enjoyed that game quite a bit. I ended up getting the season pass and playing through the DLC, and really, I don't know, I really liked what they did with it personally, but that's just me. Otherwise, as a kid, there was a Spider-Man game for the N64 that I used to have that I used to play, and I think it was literally just called Spider-Man.
The Activision one, yep.
Yeah, yep.
That was great.
I used to play that all the time. I love that game.
That was done by Activision and Neversoft did that.
Yes.
So the guys who made Tony Hawk did that Spider-Man game.
Mm-hmm. It was awesome.
So it was like open world. It was an open world.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Awesome. Awesome.
Oh, open world like Superman 64.
Yes. Yes. I'm surprised nobody was mentioning that one. That's a good
Well, you know, that's a classic for a different reason.
That's a gem. Pick up cars and fly through rings. Yes.
Oh,
That's
man.
what I think of when I think Superman.
It's like a terrible Star Fox training stage.
Oh, it was really bad.
It was like the worst thing ever. Okay, so I know there's a giant elephant in the room, but the movies. Civil War just came out. This year so far, we've got X-Men Apocalypse coming up. And there's several more comic book movies coming out this year. There's Suicide Squad. There's another Ninja Turtle movie. There's Doctor Strange. But we've already had Deadpool, Batman, Superman, and Civil War. What are your opinions on those movies that have come out so far? And I know maybe not all of you guys have seen those movies or whatever, but any opinions or theories?
I know I've talked to you about this. I'm not a huge fan of Batman versus Superman. I think the script was a disaster. I think they tried to catch
Get
up.
off my show, you
I know. I think they tried to catch up with Marvel all in one film, and it just didn't work at all. There was just too much going on, too much that trying to introduce multiple origin stories all in the same film. Trying to create the Justice League in one film. It was just too much, just way too much all at the same time, in my opinion.
I think that you look at, because I saw both Batman vs Superman and I saw Civil War, and you look at the way DC, like Nick just mentioned, how they try to cram all these stories into the movie, and they just didn't do, in my opinion too, I don't think they did a super good job. And then you look at like how Marvel did it, like introducing a new Spider-Man and introducing the Black Panther, who no one knew a whole lot about, or at least I didn't going in anyways, and Ryan just appeared twice. But,
I see two Ryans.
I
do it too. Double the pleasure.
Anyways, though, where I was going with that was just, I guess I think Marvel did a lot better job with their character development, and they did such a good job with like having so many star characters and not having like oh, this character is getting too much screen time, and like we're neglecting like this other character. I just think Marvel does a really good job balancing out all the characters in their movies. That's just my opinion.
No, I absolutely agree. I think they do a much better job fleshing out character backgrounds and being able to use them together than I think DC has ever been able to do. I also agree. I think Civil War was a far better film than Batman vs Superman. I liked it much better than the last Avengers film. I was a little bit disappointed by Ultron. So I'm really, really excited to see where they go with this. Obviously, I'm hoping for a second part of Civil War. As big as that story arc is, there's probably going to be a second one.
Yeah, I think that there needs to be more. But the interesting thing about Civil War, though, is it did kind of tie up a lot of loose ends. I mean, Bucky is, well, I don't want to spoil anything, but there was a lot of storylines that were kind of tied up in that, and or wrapped up, I should say, and it kind of just gives you a focus, like, okay, here's where it's going from here on out.
Absolutely.
And there's Doctor Strange, and then there's Thor movie, and then there's the Infinity War that are coming. And I believe that's all that Marvel has planned up until the Infinity War saga starts. Is
right.
two other movies.
I'm really interested to know how they're going to manage the Infinity Saga. I mean, that that thing was way bigger than any superhero that they've ever created. So how they're going to, put that cinematically.
There's also another Guardians of the Galaxy before Infinity War.
Yeah.
That's next May. That just got to announce the actual theatrical day, and that's like May 7th or something like that. It's like, oh my God, we're only a year away from another Guardians of the Galaxy.
I know. It's hard to imagine.
It's amazing. But okay, so not to sit here and say that I think Marvel sucks and DC's better, which is true, but Marvel has had 8 years. So you're talking about these more fleshed out characters, these characters that are better balanced and more origins or more storyline to them. 8 years, like 34 films that some of these characters, like Iron Man's been in what, 10 movies? I understand that DC did try to throw a lot at us in Batman Superman. I thought that it was a little odd they were giving us so much more of the origin of Bruce Wayne when we've already seen that, in the Tim Burton movies, and we saw it in the Christopher Nolan movies. Like, we really need to see that all over again. I thought they focused a little bit too much on that, and I know people have complained a lot about Bruce Wayne's, his flashbacks or his dream sequences. Like, they made a big part of the movie his dream sequences about the things he thinks about. It was weird because they had worried so much about Bruce Wayne's backstory that they hardly even touched on Superman. And Superman's the one that we've only really got that Man of Steel movie, which to me was a pretty big disappointment.
I agree. Oh, I absolutely agree.
It's like I would have liked to have seen more of Man of Steel. I would have liked to have seen more of Superman, and I'd like to see him smile once in a while, like, be fucking Superman. But I think the movie was really good, and I think it's a really good stepping stone in the right direction, because DC has, like, Man of Steel, and then they had the Dark Knight movies, and then they had Green Lantern, and, none of these movies had ever touched, like, none of them had ever intersected with each other, and this movie finally shows, like, oh my God, all these universes are together, and you get the teaser of all the other characters that are coming, and then Wonder Woman's her introduction to the movie I thought was awesome. I thought her character was awesome when she's in the middle of the fight with oh shoot, I can't even think of his name. Anyway, there was a big fight scene towards the end of the movie, and she gets like the shit knocked out of her, and she just smiles and like wipes the blood from her mouth and jumps back in the fight. I thought that was awesome because that was so Wonder Woman, and I don't know. I'm excited for them. I'm excited for the next Suicide Squad. I'm excited for the Wonder Woman movie. I am a little bit curious though why they're not doing another Batman movie or another Man of Steel movie before they jump right into the Justice League, because they're apparently going to be doing Justice League like a couple months prior to Infinity War, and that's like, so you're giving them like 2 years to like and 3 movies before you jump right into Justice League. I don't know if I agree with that. It does feel like it's a little bit too much too fast. I mean, DC should look at it the way that Marvel's been doing it. They've had 8 years since the first Iron Man movie, like all of this has been building up with all the after the credit sequences and all this stuff, building a little bit of hints here and there, and now they're building into this big war that's going to happen. And DC's like, shit, we got to catch up. And it's like, no, you don't. Just play it cool. Come up with a couple movies, get them to sync up together, and then do your Justice League. Do this Darkseid and Justice League movie like years from now. But I mean, they want to jump into it right away. Who knows? Maybe there's a better plan. I am excited that Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman are directed by 2 newcomers to the comic book movie genre. It's not going to be Christopher Nolan, and it's not going to be Zack Snyder. So I'm kind of stoked about that. The guy who directed Suicide Squad's done a couple other really good movies, and I completely forgot his name, and I forget what movies those were, but I'm excited about that. They're pretty good action flicks. So, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm optimistic in the DC universe right now. I'm really excited about it. Whereas with Civil War, I did not like Spider-Man, like, at all.
What?
Really? I didn't.
The kid was fine.
Yeah, I thought he was fine, yeah. I thought he added good humor. It was fun.
Yeah. I mean, he's just a kid.
He's just a kid, yeah.
That was the biggest thing. He wasn't serious at all, which, when you're his age, just the fact that you're being invited into this massive melee with all of these, people you've grown up and worshipped probably and everybody knows about. I mean, that's, you're like meeting all of your favorite people all at once. You're going to be a kind of little giddy schoolgirl, I suppose. And
when I pictured Civil War, or when this big Marvel showdown happened, when I pictured this, Spider-Man, at least in the comic books, was an older, grizzled, Peter Parker, who had like seen so much and been through so much already. And I was a little disappointed that they didn't use that Richard Garfield kid or whatever his name is, or Tobey Maguire. I know a lot of people hated him, but I was kind of excited about the idea of an older Spider-Man to be kind of like, look, stop fighting. I'm Spider-Man. It's me, Peter Parker, whatever. Instead, they went with like a 12-year-old kid and frickin' Marissa Tomei as Aunt May. Like, what are the why? This is the third reboot in 10 years.
What's the issue with this?
I don't understand. I mean, remember, Marvel
Aunt May is like really old.
Dude, that
Marvel
was
didn't have
awesome.
any say on how old Spider-Man gets to be because they're borrowing his character, so they're introducing here so they can reboot him for the third time.
In 10 years.
Yes.
Third reboot in 10 years. Why did they have to change the actor? It wasn't the actors that were playing that were poor. It was the writing and the storylines that were bad.
Because the studio that owns Superman is terrible at making Spider-Man films.
That's not true. Sam Raimi made good Spider-Man movies.
Except for the third one.
Oh, sure. The third one was no fun, but still. Or the third one was too much fun. It was trying to be ridiculous.
Topher Grace's Venom. He was buff, right?
Yeah.
Oh, God, that was awful.
Yeah, they only botched, Spider-Man's, arch enemy in Venom. Gosh, yeah, I don't even want to talk about those movies.
No.
No, that was bad. I actually didn't hate Mr. Was it Sandman or whatever? Or
It was so corny. I don't know.
It was so bad, dude. Come on.
The second amazing the second Amazing Spider-Man, Electro was just so cheesy. His character was just so, I don't know. It was
I
terrible.
still have yet to see that movie because of how many people have just said it's so miserable.
It is. It's
I really want to see the Fantastic Four reboot.
Oh, boy.
Oh, wow. We're just going to watch all of the gems.
Just take a weekend, watch that and Catwoman back to back.
Oh, God.
You are in for a treat, good sir. Fantastic films. Should have won awards. I don't understand it.
All right. So jumping from Catwoman, Nick, you run a Twitch account, or you run a series. You're what are you, the broadcaster for some Nutrunner games? What is that all about?
So I'm involved in a Fantasy Flight card game, living card game called Netrunner. It's set in the future. It's a cyberpunk themed particular game. So the basic conception is you have these runners who are trying to hack into corporations to expose the agendas that they're trying to run behind the scenes. And what I do is I do a lot of broadcasting for a lot of the premier events in central Wisconsin. I've done a few in Chicago. So I run streams. I do live streams for those events. On occasion, I do broadcasting for them as well. So I've been doing that now for about the last, I'd say, year or so. I don't play as much as I used to since I moved over to that aspect of it, but it's definitely something I've really, really enjoyed. I wanted to get into esports in some fashion, at least on the communication side, for a long time, and I think this is a great way for myself to finally get into it. So I do it all for free because I enjoy it. I don't charge anybody anything. It's just, I love the community. I know a lot of the players, so getting to hang out with them is always a really good time for me too.
That's awesome. And the last time you played competitively was a while ago?
Well, I played in one star championship this year just because I wanted to play at least once. I won. But
Nice.
That's really all that I've done this year as far as playing goes. So, yep.
Was that in like the 6 to 10 age group where you were just smacking around some kids?
I was. It's true. No, I actually the Netrunner community is actually very adult. I'd say the average age for Netrunner players is probably in the early 20s.
Awesome. That's really cool. And when is the next event?
So there's a regional event is in Fantasy Flight's headquarters up in Roseville on the 21st of May. This is the next event. I won't be broadcasting because that's their headquarters, so they'll be doing it for themselves. So.
Nice. Cool.
Yep.
Cool. I will put some links below if you're rewatching this later on. There isn't any links now, so don't go freaking out on me. But I'll put some links below for how you can reach Nick's Twitch channel. You also do some streaming from gaming stuff, like video games or anything like that ever?
I do on rare occasions. I haven't done it as frequently as I used to when I first bought all of my equipment. However, I have actually started working with Johnny C's Cards to do more of their events. So
Nice.
They have Game of Thrones regional coming up this weekend, which I'll be broadcasting even though I don't play the game. And other various events, I'm basically, it's because I enjoy it so much, I just kind of lend out my service to them. And, I'd love to get them whatever advertisement, or build them as much as I can because I love the store. It's a great store.
Cool. That's awesome. So will this be a strip Game of Thrones tournament?
No.
I assume, since the
I mean,
the
if
subject
you
material.
enjoy a lot of older men on the stream, then no.
Oh yeah, if you love old naked men, you definitely need to check out Nate's Twitch streams. We'll have the links below.
Yeah.
All right, so jumping from that to Nintendo. So Nintendo's announced that next March the NX system will be released, pretty much sealing the fate for the Wii U. What does Nintendo have to do for you guys to be all in? Saying basically it can compete with Sony and Microsoft, or even be better than Sony and Microsoft. Is there any way that could happen?
Well, from my understanding, from following the release, they're moving towards a far more advanced platform than they have. They're playing with the big boys as far as the graphic capabilities and things like that, which is something they definitely have to do. I think it took them way too long to finally get to that realization. I mean, I appreciate that they were a great party console and they sold to a lot of kids and such, but I think they have so much more potential than, they've just been kind of banking on their first-party releases. Anytime a new Mario game comes out or a Zelda game comes out, everybody buys the console. Beyond that, it's not. It doesn't really sell as well as I think they would have liked it to. So I'm pretty excited to see what they can do. I know that the graphics that they're building on is actually a new platform that's coming out in the next few months. So it's going to be even more advanced than the PS4 and the Xbox are right now, which is pretty exciting.
That's crazy. Matt, how about you? What's going to make you buy an NX?
You know what? I actually have a Wii U. I don't know, the last couple generations I've had every system that the major companies have put out. I'll probably... I don't know. I love my console video games, and I'll be the first to admit that I'm one of those people that's probably a big sucker for Nintendo stuff because I grew up playing Mario. That was the first experience I ever had with a video game, was playing Super Mario World, and that kind of stuff has always stuck with me. So I honestly don't see why I wouldn't get this new system, because I always seem to do no matter what. So I don't know. I guess what I would like to see though is obviously they do tend to gear their games towards more kids. I would like to see them take advantage of a console with better graphic capabilities and stuff like that for sure.
Like an M for mature Star Fox game, right?
That'd be awesome. It won't happen.
Pretty interesting.
Ryan, what about you? What are your thoughts on this whole Nintendo fiasco?
Yeah, the reason that the original Wii did so well because it was something that they never saw before. Like they didn't know what to expect, and it's like, wait, you can swing your sword and Link actually swings it? Like, it was so cool. And then the Wii U added the little controller with the video on it, but it wasn't enough, I don't think, to lure in most people. So this new system, and everybody has always complained about the graphics capabilities of these systems because they're just not there. They do need to release something that is hardware on par with the Xbox One or PlayStation 4, and they need to have titles outside of their standard characters that we all love. I think they need to try and create new original games, like outside of the Mario world and the Zelda world. If they do create new iconic characters, and it's Nintendo, so we'd probably love them. I think that would really gain a new cult following and momentum, because right now the things that people are latching onto are like Halo, or they've kind of moved away from Mario because we've seen it for 30 years.
Right.
So I think if they tried to create new franchises, then people would really catch on.
I think that, and I totally agree, I think that the power of a system, they've been kind of, in my opinion, ever since the N64, like towards the end of the N64, they were behind like a generation as far as like the game system, the power of the system. Like the GameCube was probably more on par with the PS2 and the Xbox, but it couldn't do DVDs. It couldn't do like they barely even touched like online gaming, whereas the Xbox was online from the day it was released. Even the Dreamcast, which came out a year or 2 years prior to the GameCube, was online. Like it was really odd that Nintendo just kind of stuck behind. And the Wii was probably the worst offender of all of them because it was basically the GameCube with a waggle controller. Like it was the same power and no HD. Everything was so far behind, and it was like it's honestly crazy to think that the Wii and the PS3 came out in the same month, because the PS3 graphically looks so beautiful, and the Wii is like early 2000s technology, and I mean that's really important. And the Wii U, as I think the games look really impressive. It's a really pretty system, but it is on par with about what the PS3 could do. So that's way behind again. Even though it is HD and a lot of the new games are coming out with look really pretty, it's just it's very evident that when you see a game like Fallout 4 or the new Uncharted game, when you start playing that's something the Wii U is completely not capable of.
Absolutely. I think one of their problems was because they stuck behind so graphically, they lost a lot of their third-party support because their console just couldn't support them.
Yeah, it's odd too because I know a lot of third-party developers like Activision and EA and like Ubisoft or whatever. They still release games on the PS3 and the Xbox 360 along with the newer versions. So that always made me like confused. Is like, why won't they just port it to the Wii U since it's already on the 360 and the PS3 anyway? And I think that was because honestly, it's just straight up down to like supply and demand. Like people aren't demanding the Wii U because it's just not selling well. This will go down as Nintendo's biggest failure as far as a console ever. It's up to about 10 million consoles sold, and with the news of the NX coming next year, I assume they won't even get another million. Like unless they clearance it.
Bigger debacle than the Virtua Boy?
Well, okay, there is nothing that's a bigger debacle than Virtual Boy. But
I own a Virtual Boy.
So do I. I love the Virtual Boy.
Yeah, I love headaches.
It's not as good unless you get a migraine, man.
That's right.
I gotta beat the stage until I go into a coma.
See, I beat Mario Tennis, but I'm seeing red for a week. Worth it.
Are your eyes bleeding?
I do have to say one thing about the Wii U. There are some games that are really cool for it that are like exclusive to it. One of them being this game called Xenoblade Chronicles X, which is awesome. Like, it's not on the PS4, it's not on Xbox. Like, if you want to play it, you have to have a Wii U. And it's, it's another Japanese RPG, but I get into those kind of games, and I really like it. Another game that I really wish would come to the Xbox or the PlayStation is the Monster Hunter series. Really big into Monster Hunter.
Absolutely.
Play it all the time on my 3DS. There's actually a new one coming out this summer that I'm definitely going to get. But so Nintendo does have a few things here and there that I think they do a good job with. I would just love to see them do more.
I mean, on the path of Monster Hunter, I think that's another thing they need to figure out. There's so many great Japanese releases that they just don't port to the U.S. for whatever reason that I think we as consumers here in the U.S. they would sell like crazy out here, and they're just really resistant to doing it, and I don't know why.
Yeah, the Wii U has been an interesting story, and I've talked about it a couple times in the past. And by the way, also the Xenoblade Chronicles. If you're checking out this YouTube channel that we're on right now on gamehuggers, we have about 22 hours worth of Xenoblade Chronicles gameplay on it. From Meng, our good friend Meng is playing through it, and he's capturing it all, and we're uploading it on our YouTube channel, so it's kind of cool. With about 18 more hours to upload that are going to be uploaded every Monday for the next 4 weeks.
Aren't they notorious for having like most of the game just being cutscenes? And it's basically like a 20-hour film with some playing in between.
That's Final Fantasy.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people have had problems with the Wii U because just casual gamers or parents that are, parents of gamers are confused as to what it even is. Because I've heard from people, even the guy who runs Gaming Generations, has had more people come in and return Wii U games because they say it doesn't work on their Wii. Because people don't even realize it's a whole new console. They think it's just the tablet or something that you play on your regular Wii. So it's very confusing. The name alone, they brought out the Wii U in 2012 when the Wii was like 6 years into its life, and I think that the gimmick of the waggle controls had pretty much played out fully, and they honestly should have gone in a very different direction with it. It was a huge thing. Everyone has a Wii. Everyone had it and loved it, and then it just kind of ran dry. And they should have really seen that with the way that the sales just completely dropped off ever since 2010 with the original Wii. But Nintendo's in a good spot. Even though the Wii U has kind of flopped. I mean, between the Wii and the Wii U, those two systems over the last 10 years, because now it's 10 years that we've had the Wii on the market. Overall have sold a lot of systems. The Wii is the most best-selling console in Nintendo's history, and you can just kind of bump the Wii U on as an HD version of the Wii, and it's just kind of an extension of the system itself. Totally backwards compatible. I mean, if you want to play your original Wii games in HD, that's kind of cool to see them look a little bit upgraded in resolution. Not much, but some for those HD TVs. But I'm hoping that the NX is a whole new direction. There's a lot of ideas and concepts out there where people think that it's going to be like a handheld console that you're going to be able to push to the TV so you can play it on a TV too. So anybody can come over with their NXs and you can have multiplayer on the same screen, or you can play multiplayer online or whatever. But my main fear and my main what I want to see this time around is that Nintendo can get third-party developers, because if you can't get the horrible EA games every year, I mean, and you got to get Activision and all the other companies doing their Call of Duties, and you got to get Konami back, if Konami's even a company anymore. I don't even know. You got to get Capcom back. You got to get everyone back making games for the system, and if you can get that, that'll make me feel a lot better. And Nintendo has no problem with that. With the DS market, the DS market has got third-party galore. That system is just packed. If you can somehow get those people to develop for the NX, which I assume is going to be handheld and console, I think they'll be in pretty good shape. But that's a big if.
Well, let's be real. I mean, that's where Nintendo's best success right now is coming from. Is they pretty much own the handheld market. I mean,
absolutely.
The Vita. Yep. I mean, I have a Vita too, and I can tell you right now
that's adorable.
I played a whole lot. But my 3DS, yeah, you betcha. That system, yeah, there's still. I mean, shit, they just announced a new Pokemon game just a couple days ago, and
yeah, they did. They revealed the three.
I'm a huge Pokemon fan, so guess what? I'm gonna get that.
Yeah, I think. I mean, it's gonna be interesting. Nobody has seen what the NX is going to look like. Nintendo's pretty much said that at E3 they're not going to unveil what it is. They're probably going to do it at the Tokyo Game Show, which is in October, I think.
Right.
So it's going to be a long waiting game to see what the hell this thing's even going to be. The only Wii U game that they're going to show off at E3 is the new Zelda, which isn't going to be available until March, which will probably be released on the NX and the Wii U. So
hopefully that would be a great console seller.
Yeah,
I mean, that would be huge if they could release that as a release title for the NX.
That'd be
sort of the right fit.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that.
Yeah, just like the original Wii with Twilight Princess.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think they need to realize that the gaming market has grown up, right? We are more of the target console buyers these days than when we were kids, when it was your parents buying it for you. Nowadays, we're the people that have the money and we love to video game. It's just the way the market has changed, I think.
Wait, your parents don't buy you games anymore?
I mean, for Christmas sometimes, when I ask for them, yeah.
Nice, okay. All right, so in closing then, what?
Your parents buy me games, Nick. I don't know what...
Jeremy, is that you?
Nice. In closing here, we're going to go a little bit shorter this week. We got about 5 more minutes left of the show. I'm just curious what your guys' thoughts on online multiplayer versus local multiplayer. We talked a little bit about the NX system, if it's going to have the ability to play together and then also play online multiplayer. What are your preferences? What are your where do you think the gaming world's going with this?
You know,
really-
I think. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
Oh, okay. I honestly think that local split screen multiplayer is kind of slowly fading away, which makes me kind of sad because.
Get off my show!
I'm not saying I like it. I just said it makes me sad. I mean, it just seems like, I mean, you just look at less and less games are, allowing people to play split screen, and it's more and more becoming like you need your own system and you need to be able to play online, and like the online multiplayer is what the big thing is now. It just seems like I mean, I can speak from saying, I mean, I can't tell you how many times, like, when I was in college that me and my buddies used to play Call of Duty online, and because Call of Duty didn't have split screen multiplayer like Halo did, like, we would have to drag our systems and bring a TV over to someone's place, and we just hook up to the internet and, like, we played, and, like, it was fun and everything, but it's definitely seen, in my opinion, I think that's the way it's going, and I'm not saying that I like it, I just am saying I think that's the way it's going.
Sure, that's a realistic view.
No, I agree. I think, I mean, from a personal standpoint, it's disappointing. You know, I grew up on Nintendo 64 in college, so lots of drunken Mario Kart and GoldenEye and Blitz. Those are the games of choice. But, from a business perspective, obviously, removing the local multiplayer sells them more systems, sells them more subscriptions to their online services, sells more copies of the game. So, from their perspective, that's how they're going to, increase the revenue. It is disappointing. I miss the old LAN days of playing, StarCraft crammed in a basement with, 10 other guys.
Yeah.
Those are a lot of fun, but, I agree with you, Matt. It's going away, unfortunately, which from a personal perspective is really sad, but I can understand it from a business perspective.
So, Ryan, what about you?
See, I've never really had any friends, so local multiplayer wasn't no. No, I definitely prefer local multiplayer. I wish I didn't see it going away. It's really a shame to me because a lot of games, honestly, I hate online multiplayer with people I don't know. It bugs the living crap out of me at times, and like being forced in, say, Star Wars Battlefront, right, it was supremely disappointing to me because like there were very limited game modes, and it's like, now go play with a whole bunch of people you don't know, and I'm like, I hate that. I hate that dynamic. I like being able to just play something with friends, and even, I mean, another thing that's getting eliminated are AI bots. In any game that has any multiplayer whatsoever, it's like, no, we're forcing you to play with actual people. We didn't want to program AI, and that's annoying too. Because it's like then you have to wait for people to get a good match, and it's like you can't fill any slots. I don't know. Online multiplayer has always been kind of annoying to me unless you actually know the people you're playing with.
You mean you don't love the online Xbox Live community that those games provide?
Oh, you mean the 13-year-old kids that are teaching me swear words? Yeah.
Yes.
That. Did
Who
you just
evolved in
call
with
me
my
a
mother?
crotch cactus? What the hell is that? I don't even...
We just lost Matt. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys know my opinion. I like local multiplayer far more than online. There are some games I definitely can see the benefit to online playing, but I think, like, the writing's kind of on the wall. I mean, looking at the new Halo 5, I mean, Halo is this game that kind of the series got both of them really well. Like, they figured it out how to do really good online multiplayer since the first Halo game with the LAN parties and stuff.
Yep.
And they even had a really excellent split screen, local multiplayer modes. And they did a really good job with that. And Halo 5 completely lacking the multiplayer local or couch multiplayer, couch gaming, or whatever you want to call it, modes. Really, like it kind of just it stunk. Like, and that game didn't sell all that well. And I heard a lot of people were complaining about that feature being missing as one of the reasons why they didn't pick it up. And probably just because there's a lot less Xbox One owners out there right now than there are like PS4 owners. But it really is a shame. I guess I think of like of LAN parties or even like bigger events, like going to events and playing multiplayer with tournaments and stuff like that is always far more satisfying in person to be able to see people playing against, or who you're playing with or whatever. But does the PS4 or the Xbox One, do those systems do like LAN mode where you can hook them up with multiple TVs or consoles in a room or anything like that? Or
Not to my knowledge. I think they're all just
Yeah,
online
not that I
only.
know.
Yeah, but I mean, you're required to have an account, obviously, which needs to be online. So it's just, you know, a lot of. I mean, look at Steam. A lot of Steam games you can't even play unless you're connected to the internet. That's just kind of the way it's moved.
Right.
It's crazy. All right, well, that's a depressing note to end on, but I'm kidding. I think we lost Matt. He just jumped off a little bit ago, but
I did tell him to get off your show.
Get off my show!
Maybe he took it to heart. I
I
don't know.
guess so. But anyway, thank you everyone for listening this week. Thank you to Nick and Matt and Ryan for being a part of the show this week. You can check out Nick, his Twitch account. We'll put that stream below there, and you can check out Ryan on his new Pornhub.com/Ryan Buckley. I think that definitely shows all sorts of things. Interesting things. That's a
18 and up, please.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're not having those problems again.
Are you working together with Jeremy? Is that what's going on here?
His mother, actually, is
She's
Yeah,
pretty talented, very flexible.
I mean, not only does she act, but she directs. I'm very impressed. Just
Impressive.
quality.
Multi-talented.
The
Wow.
production value is amazing. It's classy and refined. So, I mean, just a shout out to Jeremy's mom.
I just noticed how we went from 4 viewers to 1. That's pretty awesome. But anyway, thank you guys for being a part of the show. Thank you to Matty Pop for being a part of the show. I thought it was a good chat. Hopefully we can do this again sometime in the future. Check us out on our Game Huggers Facebook page. You can check us out on our Game Huggers YouTube channel. Check us out on TuneIn. We have this podcast up. It'll be up by the end of May, but it's currently up today on YouTube. Check us out. You can also follow me on Twitter @_Joshua Turbo. Don't forget the underscore because it's super duper ultra mega important. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Woo.
Bye.